Ignition sequence start.
And we're getting a picture of the TV.
Ow now. Brown cow.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have liftoff! Apollo Hour is live, coming to you from the beautiful northwest suburb of Houston, Texas, where the necks, the wrists, and the hands are diamond, where the winning streaks are long, and where no one from the Apollo crew has ever once demanded a trade. I don't prefer government names, so you can call me Mr. Bobby B, joined in studio with three of the livest. We've got Vice President, CEO, CFO, the co-founder, Apollo Media Big Dog himself, Des.
Woo!
We've got the host of the Lalima Lounge, the only professional in the building, the guy that gets the checks to do this, Brian Lalima.
What's up?
And everyone's favorite space face, the Spaceman. Blast off.
Sorry, I'll try and take that down.
What's up, boys?
Man. You know,
That was way better than I could have ever done. I'm glad you took a hold of that one.
Because you're the professional.
No,
What do you think?
we're all
Scale of 1 to
professionals
10.
here. That was probably about an 8.
Thank you.
That was good.
See, I was looking for strong 7.
Yeah.
You know, so I will take an 8.
Off the cuff, that's what gave me an 8.
Thank you.
There was no
Yeah, there was no takes
that was
on
live.
live.
There was
Brian
no
says,
takes.
do it live. I said, fuck it, we'll do it live. I totally snuck Des like 5 minutes before we started, and I was like, hey, do you mind if I do the intro today? It's totally fine. Don't get weird with it. What a week, dude. What a week.
Super Bowl week.
Super Bowl week, which almost feels like a backstory. You've got all the stuff going on in the stock market. You've, you got basketball, college basketball rolling on. The announcement of the new NCAA football game.
We're so bad.
It's been a news week, dude.
It
But
has
if you
been.
look at what's been happening in Houston news, 6-game winning streak for those Rockets, dude. Who saw
Basketball
this
town.
coming?
Hey, them boys right here. I told you this the other day. I posted a picture of this hat when they had 2 wins.
Yes.
We posted a picture of this hat. It said, all the boys are back on the court. They won 4 more handily.
Handily.
Well, one of them was close. 2 games in a row with 48-point quarters. That's incredible to watch. And you don't have one guy running up 60 points. Every guy on the squad is shooting 15 points, 20 points a game.
I was told this team wasn't good enough. Did you hear that?
I heard it was good.
I heard that as
You
well.
heard that,
I did,
right?
yeah.
I heard
they
this
weren't
team
good
wasn't
enough.
good.
Yeah,
I heard it.
there's nothing that we could do.
Who's-
It was a
said that,
situation
though?
we couldn't figure out. It was a crazy situation. We can't get this figured out.
The guy that travels a lot.
Yeah,
Oh,
he loves
okay.
strip clubs as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and get it over
Look,
with?
let's not talk about the past,
now,
okay?
hold
Let's
on.
talk about the present.
Just let me interrupt you for 1 minute. There's a viewer watching right now at home. His name is Sterling. I need to apologize to Sterling.
I feel like
about
we need to
the-
get like the mood music.
about the rants.
The church organs.
about James Harden last time we were here. I appreciate James Harden. I love watching James Harden play. I love the haters talking about how he flops and how he sticks his foot out when he's shooting a 3 and how he shoots too many free throws. But I love that motherfucker. He was so fun to watch. He's an offensive force. He always will be. He's one of the greatest scorers NBA's ever seen. I loved it and I appreciated what he did here in Houston. Never quite got there, but you know what? I'm still pissed about the way that he left. I'm still in stage 4 of grief, which is anger. And what's the last stage of grief? Forgiveness.
Rejoice, where we don't give a fuck about him anymore. He's not here. So fuck him. I too love James Harden, but Lalima, tell me, you've been following, you've obviously been in sports media for a while. You've been in Houston sports media for a while. Tell me if I'm tracking here. We had, the James Harden that got Chris Paul to come in, 2 ball-hungry guards that'll never work. And we had the season
You
where...
You got Dwight Howard first.
You got to go first.
Right.
To Dwight.
No, I want to go to that.
Okay.
Because the Dwight Howard years, to me, were still kind of formative years.
Right.
Like, I didn't really think that Rockets team was ready. But the James Harden, Chris Paul team was ready.
But I think it was the first time you had a superstar flexing his muscle. Like, hey, I have the power to bring someone here.
Right.
Like, that was like
for sure.
testing the fence as a raptor in Jurassic Park.
I guess what I'm saying is that this has been my evolution of Rockets fandom over the last 8 years, right? Like, the Dwight James team was still fun to me, but I didn't have like a lot of expectation with it.
And that's a team that actually got to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
Right.
They took down the Clippers in
and
the
like
semifinals.
the whole time I was watching that team, I was like, "Wow, I didn't expect them to be this good."
I don't think anybody did, honestly.
Right, exactly.
No, I didn't. Yeah,
That team was fun.
Right.
Then we got the Chris Paul, James Harden team, and that team was fun until the hamstring, right? And like that for me is when the fun ended.
Yeah.
Because in the next year was Chris Paul starting to regress. You can tell him and James aren't getting along. You know you're not going to do what you did the year prior. Then the next year is Russell Westbrook. Dude, I don't want Russell Westbrook here. I know they're friends, but there's no way this is going to work. It didn't. It fell apart. Then you have this offseason with Russell and James. Russell gets traded. You're bringing John Wall in, coming off a huge injury. You don't know what you got.
What a fleece.
Right.
What a fleece, though.
But you get like 6-7 games into it. James is moping everything he did in the offseason. Like for the last 3 years, the Rockets haven't been fun. This Rockets team is so fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
The youth is there.
Right.
The bench is deep. You've got John Wall playing at a very high level, coming
Very
off
high
of a
Christian
long.
Wood is a superstar
Yeah, Christian
in the
Wood.
making.
That's going to go down as the Detroit Pistons are going to be very, very upset that they didn't sign Christian Wood because he's going to be an elite superstar by the end of this year.
Yeah.
He should be an all-star. I don't think he scored under double digits this year in every game he's played. I think he's registered multiple double-doubles. The other night he had 18 and 11. And when you've got guys like
and he did that in like 23 minutes.
Yeah, he rolled his ankle and still fought his way to get back in.
Yeah, he played 26 minutes.
26 minutes.
Knocked down 2 threes, 2 for 3. I mean, you look at
Casual
your
18-11.
4 out of your 5 starters were in double digits. And then you got PJ Tucker at 6, which we all know he's not going to have the production.
That's a big night.
But then you look at the bench. This is the biggest thing for me. The biggest X factor I have for this Rockets team is how deep can your bench go? You got Daniel House at 13, DeMarcus Cousins had 17, and then Eric Gordon comes off the bench for 25.
Right.
If you can get that production from those 3 and more off the bench, just
what you described right there is so much the polar opposite of what we've seen.
Right.
Where it was ball dominant, one facilitator. He gets people involved when it's time for him to get people involved, but everything runs through him.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of that, you're only running 6, 7, 8 deep. You know,
Correct.
Mike D'Antoni.
I think in the playoffs last year, I think he ran 7.
7, 8, which is par for the
7.
course with D'Antoni.
Yeah.
That's
And
how he
years and
runs
years
it.
of doing that catches up. I mean, those are tired legs. I mean, obviously they're professional athletes, but that's when you get into year 4, year 5 of that.
That's tread wearing off the tires.
It definitely is. So I would say I'm a casual, as Colin likes to put it, but it's winning cures everything in any sport. But this team is just fun. They're out there hustling. They have something. They have a chip on their shoulder. You can tell they were trying to. I can't wait for that James Harden game.
Look how well they play on defense.
Oh, yeah.
It was all hustle and grind.
When was the last time you
All
saw a
hustle and
Rockets
grind.
team that's played this kind of defense?
It really was the beginning of the small ball era where I think the small ball guys like had that axe to grind. Like, no, we can go out there and we can do it. And they used to hustle like this. But to Dez's point, they just got beat up.
Yeah,
and they got so worn down.
Yeah.
And
You're
it
only
wasn't
running 7-8 guys out there. That's going to happen.
7, 8 guys who were 6, 7 max, right? So, yeah, those guys just never stood a chance.
Short
but this
fucking
team...
shrimps.
Yeah,
some fucking
crazy.
Yeah,
Fucking 6'7" dudes are considered small.
Right.
lifts
What
and
are you?
shit.
6'5"?
6'3".
No
And
shot.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, you're.
I get it all the time. People are like, you should have played basketball. I'd be like, dude,
Dude,
I'd be the
Have you
point
seen
guard and
this
I don't
picture?
have any
okay, you're
handles.
6'5" because I'm like 6'2", and you got
Okay.
like 3 inches on me, but that's fine. I don't want to put your government information out there.
Thank you.
So,
Thank
so
you.
you're 6'3".
Lima's having
6'3",
6'1"
brown
denial.
eyes.
No.
6'1" denial right now.
No shot.
Scouting report.
I want to get back to what Dez was saying about being a casual fan. Dez, right now is like, it's almost a cool time to be a casual fan.
Yeah.
Because if you were a casual fan coming in 2 years ago and I didn't really buy in and didn't believe everyone. I was a Rockets lover and a purist. But I can understand the casual fan who hasn't watched in a little while and they come in and they're watching Maury ball. They're watching Harden dribble, drive and kick, Harden dribble, step back 3, Harden dribble.
Christian
Like-
Wood had a beautiful step back 3 last night,
Yeah.
and he
Beautiful.
stuck his foot out. I saw the tape.
You saw it?
It's easier as a casual fan to watch a team like this because there's no ego.
Yeah.
There is a lot of chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
You know John Wall's got a chip on his shoulder.
He's got a chip on his shoulder just because of coming back from injury.
Right.
But then
On
you got
top
him.
of
And on top of, then you got him and DeMarcus Cousins meeting up in Houston, and then you got a guy that comes in and just doesn't give a shit.
Who called him trash?
Who basically called him trash.
Quit on the team.
Yeah, he literally quit on the team.
Quit on the team and call him trash. You're not good enough.
Everyone knows, everyone tuning in, I'm petty. I'm petty as hell. That's just what I do. But
Just
John
holds a
Wall,
grudge like an 8th grade girl.
I do. But John Wall, after every press conference, and the tweets are hilarious.
Oh, they are.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're evolving. Like, John Wall, why'd you order a number 1 at McDonald's? He's like, and then
There was people who didn't believe in us.
didn't believe in us.
There was people that quit on this team.
I love it.
People that didn't want to
Every
be
game
here.
there's a new quote that's just a jab. And hey, as a former athlete, like, you use anything for fuel, I guarantee you he has that quote in his locker. And
And it's not just him. He's got that. And you're right. John is super petty. But it's not just him. Christian Wood never believed in, right? Undrafted guy, got cut multiple times. He finally gets a chance with Detroit. Bam, COVID happens. He's like, man, can I sustain this hot streak? Goes down to the bubble for a little while. Man, it's okay. You've got DeMarcus coming off multiple injuries. You've got Jayshawn Tate, who people just didn't really know a lot about, didn't believe in. Eric Gordon gets fouled on literally every single drive he's ever committed. You know, he's got a chip on his shoulder because he doesn't get LeBron calls.
Yeah.
So the whole team is playing with that, you know, no one believes in us attitude.
Yeah.
Everyone overlooked this attitude. We're going to out-hustle you. We're going to out-grind you.
They're scrappy, dude.
And
a good
by
way to
the
put it.
way, these guys are still fucking talented. John Wall was a first-round pick. Boogie Cousins was a top 3 pick. These guys don't suck.
I don't think anyone wants to play this team come playoffs in a 7-game series. They will be scrappy, and we may get bounced in the first round, but it's going 6 or 7, and we're going to push them to the limit. Like, they're just that kind of team where you're just like, I'm exhausted from playing these guys.
The way they're moving the ball around, and they're taking smart shots. The shots that they're taking, I think their scoring percentage is like the highest it's been through so many games in the season right now.
That's probably true. It's probably
right.
They are playing the number 1 defense in the NBA
their
right
defense
now.
is nuts.
Since James Harden is gone, they have the number 1 net defense in the NBA.
See, and that's important because they used to just stand around. Somebody would rain down a 3. There'd be no red jerseys there in the key.
Right.
None of them in the paint.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, James, at the end of the day, he was a cancer. But he was an intentional cancer. He wanted to be a cancer. He wanted out. And you've played ball. You've been around people who just aren't bringing the right attitude. They're not good for the locker room. And it really is a residual effect where, okay, I see you not hustling up. And like, now you're not helping me. You've quit on me. Now I'm pissed off, so I can't focus as much. Now I'm not hustling as much, right? And you had that with the Rockets.
Yeah.
And I think that, once he left, I forgot to. How do I forget to mention Victor Oladipo, another guy who's been overlooked multiple times, thrown away multiple times,
and a guy who didn't want to be here. He was like, I don't want to be in Houston, right? But he's like, you know what? I'm going to show up. I'm going to be a professional. And hey, winning cures everything.
And he plays with all these other guys who are pissed off and they got something to prove. And here we go. So this has been, for me, the last 6 games. It's so nice to watch the Rockets with no expectation. Like, I know this team's not going to win a title.
When was the last time you had no expectations for the Rockets?
It literally probably the day we traded for James Harden. Because I thought he was just a 6-man from Oklahoma. Our team wasn't that great. I was like, okay, we got this guy, sure. We traded, Jeremy fucking Lamb. I don't care about him. So let's see what happens. So, probably over a decade ago.
Yeah.
And
it's been a while.
It's been a while. Like I said earlier, it's really such an escape from Morey ball. Yeah. Which, D'Antoni D'Antoni and Morey just grinded it down to those basics. And like to see off-ball screens and movement. And I am a Morey ball guy. I don't like mid-range jump shots. But when I see Christian Wood step up and take a little 14-footer over someone, I'm like, man, I haven't seen that shot in like 6 years.
Yeah, he's tall as fuck.
Right, and I forgot that actually is a viable shot. Because you can make it pretty consistent.
What is this mid-range jump shot?
That's Kevin Durant's money.
Right. So it's fun to watch. Like you said, there is something to be said about a team when you have those expectations and those beliefs. And I can kind of understand now where James comes from, where he did it so many years in a row, and it had gotten to the point with him where it was title or bust, right?
Yeah.
We've given him everything we can for title or bust. And I think he just realized that I'm not capable of carrying a team to a title by myself. I've accepted that. I'm gonna go. I've got my
By
money.
himself.
I'm gonna go take a lesser role. I'm gonna go play with 2 other guys who can help pick up the slack. And hey, fine, go do your thing. But the team that has been replaced, the post James Harden team, one of the most fun Rockets teams I've had probably since him.
And that's just what you see all over the news, all over Twitter. Everybody's just saying, "Man, this is fun, fun to watch. This is refreshing."
right.
I think Rafael Stone needs a lot of props. He basically put this team together on the fly.
Absolutely.
Essentially.
Quickly.
Yes. And that is Executive of the Year awards. That's
Hey, it's not just
everything.
him. Steven Silas needs a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
props too. He accepted a job with Russell Westbrook and James Harden on his roster, right? And those guys were both gone in a month.
Yeah.
So they've both done a great job. It's a lot of fun. It's nice to watch a team that, even when it comes across some adversity, it's still got fluidity to it, and it can still put out a fun product, and it still doesn't completely fucking botch and mismanagement,
Right.
Or mismanage every piece of fucking talent that comes in the door,
There is a
like some teams in town.
thing though, and there's a question that the streets are saying, and I have to ask it because since we have Cal and Jack here at the table, does Houston have a superstar problem?
Ooh.
Man,
That's what the streets are saying.
I never really thought about that.
If you look back
Well,
4 years ago, this team had J.J. Watt, Deshaun Watson,
This-
DeAndre
Hopkins.
Hopkins, George Springer, Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman,
Jose
Justin
Altuve.
Brand,
Garrett
Altuve, Garrett Cole,
Justin
Verlander.
James Harden, Chris Paul. There's so many.
7'5"
I'm forgetting
PJ
something.
Tucker.
7'5" PJ Tucker. Now we don't anymore. Have
Well,
all
the
those
Astros
people.
we're hanging around a little bit, but
What's the next topic?
Do they
Cal and Jack, what's
yeah.
going on with your boy? What are we doing here?
look? I got 5 letters for everybody. RELAX. Relax.
Yeah.
We got this.
We got this.
He's got this.
Yeah, and I got 7 letters for everybody. VICTORY. Victory, baby.
That's right. We're winning.
Yeah. The Texans will not win a game next year.
That's it.
Here's the problem.
We've got less than 1 win next year.
Now, if anyone has been a lifer on this podcast, they will remember Bobby B saying that James Harden would finish the 2021 season as a Houston Rocket.
I sat
Right,
this,
he did.
this
He
chair
sat
a
in the
month
chair
ago.
right
and said
there,
that.
You
and
said that.
and that bullshit flew out of his mouth.
Lasted for 10
So
days.
what he's going to do for everybody tonight, he's going to do the opposite. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I guarantee that Deshaun Watson is a Jet by like Wednesday at the latest. 1 week until Deshaun Watson's a Jet. Like,
Okay.
there's no way he can stay after this.
It was like you said about Harden.
Mm-hmm.
It was like he demanded a trade. He had time left on his contract, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I want out of here." And you're like, "Oh, that's great. Well, fuck you. You got 2 more years. We'll
Yeah.
do what we want with you, right?"
I didn't think
So-
Harden was going to quit.
Well, and then he kind of did that.
It got to the point you had to trade.
I don't
And I don't think
think
Deshaun will do that.
I don't think Deshaun will do that because if he wanted to quit, he would have gone and sat out the year.
You
that
said
they
he's staying too. Why do you think he's staying?
Because I'm with Colin. I think they're not going to. Well, see, I'm kind of going on both sides here because one, I don't think he wouldn't do the James Harden and quit mentality. Right. If they're not going to trade him, they're not going to trade him.
You got 16 games.
He'll show up to practice. He'll be a professional. He'll give you his best on the field because we saw it in 2020. They were awful. At any point in time, he could have been like, I don't want to play for the rest of the year.
That's true.
Yeah.
We could have thrown AJ
He probably
McCarron
should have
in this.
taken a couple games
There
off
was a
at the
lot of
end,
people that were calling for
A
him
couple
for
halves
him
off.
and Tunsil to sit the last 3 games so you don't screw up your biggest money pieces.
And-
But then again, I hate to say it, Jack, you're an idiot, and so is
That's
Cal
true.
McNair,
That's true.
and they might trade him to somewhere that's not even being reported.
Some key
Next thing you know, the
differences.
Texans are screwed.
You know,
I mean, they're already
differences
screwed,
on-
but
Key differences on Deshaun and James. James only had 2 years left on his deal. They offered him an extension, which he declined.
he declined.
right?
Correct. Yep.
Deshaun just signed his extension.
4
Well, I
year
also
extension
think-
with an option for a 5th, I think. Right?
I believe
Or-
so.
There's a
Yeah.
precedent set in basketball where a superstar could throw a fit and get get traded. We've
Anthony
seen
Davis,
that.
James Harden, 2 examples right there.
And Leonard when he was in San
That's
Antonio.
right. Kawhi Leonard, that's right.
In football, you've seen it attempted, and then you've had Le'Veon Bell retire. Like
Right.
he was. It's almost like apples and oranges. But with Houston being Houston, I think you may see the same.
That's the
You
issue.
may see two
You know,
superstars
the
leave.
That's the
thing
issue.
is, the dude cared. I mean, they had so many heartbreaking losses this year.
Yeah.
Was it 2 weeks in a row they had the ball on the fucking 3-yard line and lost?
To win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lost.
Yeah.
So, and you see him hanging his head with his Gatorade towel over his head, probably sitting there fucking shedding a tear because
Well, he did. Yeah.
he's out there
You know what beats
busting
fucking
his
sucks.
balls.
Yeah.
And then you got a clip of J.J. Watt and Deshaun walking off the field, and J.J.'s like, man, I'm sorry we wasted one of your years.
Yeah.
Dude, coming from a veteran who is arguably one of the greatest defensive players of our time.
He was
That's
tracking.
our time.
And that's with
tracking.
injuries too.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
If he stays healthy, he's
It'd be Reggie
and when
White.
he's,
It'd be
when
Reggie
he's
White
been
and
a
him.
career Texan, and when he says that shit, that's got to hit home for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, it has
too.
to.
I mean, goddamn.
yeah, it has to.
So let's look at what we think is in the pros and cons section. Pros of Deshaun staying and not necessarily cons, but what could make him go, right? So when I think back to the last big name quarterback that I remember being traded team to team and what you would call their prime, I guess it was Matt Stafford like 3 days
Yeah,
ago.
it happened a couple days
But
ago.
before that, and we'll come back to the Stafford.
Yeah,
thing.
I wanna talk
It
about
was
that.
Jay Cutler, right?
Yeah, it
Jay
would be
Cutler
Cutler.
from the Broncos
From
to the
Broncos
Bears.
to the Bears, yeah.
Who was the big name between Jay Cutler and Matt Stafford?
Manning, but he was already old.
But he was- he left.
He was
He
done.
yeah, he didn't get traded.
He
He
signed
had the
with
neck
the
surgery,
Broncos.
and then he signed with the
Yeah,
Broncos.
he signed with the Broncos.
And they won a Super
Between
Bowl
Cutler and
Won the
Stafford.
Super Bowl
on the back of Brock Osweiler.
with Gary Kubiak.
Gary
What I'm
Kubiak.
saying
Kubiak.
is that you
There's
can't immediately think of it because they don't.
It doesn't
do
happen.
Right.
You have a franchise quarterback. I mean,
Right.
that's what you've, as a GM, as an owner, you search for a franchise. GMs, you literally make a pick of a quarterback. That's your guy.
It's supposed to be.
That's
for
your
life.
that is your guy.
Right.
And if he sucks, you're gonna be on the unemployment line because you're neck.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna get this guy, and we see it time and time again.
Look,
All
and-
these GMs.
And look how long the Houston Texans have searched
Right.
for this type of talent. And they have him. And even in a 4-12 year, look at the stats he put up.
Right.
Look at how many times the Texans were down in the fourth quarter, and he literally single-handedly led them back to an opportunity to win the game.
Right.
There was a lot of times when Deshaun was coming out, and everyone knows, I'm a Cowboy fan, but I watch the Texans. I was a big fan of Deshaun Watson because at Clemson he was a winner.
Yeah,
That you
the
can't
championship DNA that they talk about is in his blood.
exactly.
And
he
that's
finds a way to win.
That's what Dabo Swinney said. Whoever passes on Deshaun Watson is going to regret it because he's got that in him. And then it goes even back to the draft room. Everybody, when Rick Smith said, "Hey, we're going to go with Deshaun Watson," no one stood up. It was just Rick Smith cheering
Cheesing,
when they.
right.
That's the problem. That's rooted right there.
Right.
People didn't even want him.
yeah.
Rick Smith was, out of all people, Rick Smith. How much shit did Rick Smith take from the media, from fans, from everybody? They wanted him out. And now looking back, when that footage comes out, they're like,
He was
damn,
right
Rick
all
Smith. Wow, you were right
Yeah.
all along.
And I think a lot of people too are like, well, if I knew we were going to fire Rick Smith and give Bill O'Brien the job,
Right.
well, I would have just kept Rick Smith around.
Yeah.
I think when you talk about pros and cons with Deshaun Watson,
Well, the original point I was trying to make
Mhm.
is Jay Cutler and then Matt Stafford, right? So who's the better quarterback, Matt Stafford or Jared Goff?
Matt Stafford.
Right, but by how much, right? Is Matt Stafford here and Jared Goff is here, or is it like here or here?
It's probably here.
It's
there.
probably like here, right?
Yeah.
The Rams sent picks to the Lions for Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford, who was on the wrong side of 30.
Mhm.
Love Matt Stafford. Tough, big arm. Like, I think that's a great upgrade for the Rams.
Yeah.
They sent picks to get Matt Stafford.
I think the picks were
Matt
also
Stafford's
get rid of
not
that
25
contract.
years old.
They were trying to get rid
That
of
Goff
contract.
contract.
Was pretty
it was,
outrageous.
for
yeah.
sure. But
Yeah.
I'm saying, Matt Stafford's not 25 years
Correct.
old. Matt Stafford's not coming off an MVP caliber year.
Correct.
Matt Stafford's not still in his first big contract.
Correct.
Right.
Well,
so,
and you had Goff come in, look great as a rookie. Second year they went to the Super Bowl, right?
No, he had a
I
couple.
believe it was third or fourth
He
year.
had some. He had a year with Jeff Fisher.
He had two
Oh, that's
Fisher
right. He had
years.
Jeff
Yeah,
Fisher.
two
Ah,
Fisher
yeah,
years,
yeah.
and it was bad.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then Mr. Sean McVay, sleek hair,
So
new
so
offense.
his third year he went to the Super Bowl.
Yes,
And
his
that
third-
that
yeah.
year the Rams looked unstoppable.
They looked unstoppable.
And it was largely
The-
because he looked so good.
Yeah, the offense was unreal
He
good.
was throwing-
There
Because
was
he
a rumor that, and it was just kind of floated on the Twitter sphere, that Sean McVay would actually be the quarterback for Goff, like because you have up to like 10 seconds left where the coach can talk to
So
him.
he'd tell him
He'd tell him, all right, it's covered. It'd be like
slants are primary,
cover
outside
two,
is your-
Yeah.
and
is
there
your
was
second
there was
read.
kind of an
Yeah.
edge that people didn't know about, and then when they play the Patriots, all of a sudden, if you go back and watch that Super
Oh,
Bowl,
their mics went off.
Oh yeah,
well, yeah, but
yeah.
Belichick had his defense at the last second essentially audible and
Going
was
to formation.
confused. Yeah. And they would present a base formation to Goff and McVay. When that mic shut off, they changed the defense up. So Goff looked like he was that entire Super Bowl looked like he was drowning.
That Super Bowl sucked.
It was an
Yeah,
awful.
It
Super
was
Bowl.
awful.
It was
So
very
boring,
bad.
dude.
It was very bad.
So
I remember
boring.
like one play from it.
I-
And-
I think to go back to the Deshaun point real quick, when you talk about pros and cons,
right.
we can talk about the Deshaun drama. We can talk about Jack Easterby, Cal McNair. At the end of the day, the Texans' personnel on the field sucks.
It's not.
They
good.
don't have good players.
It's not good.
Their defense is atrocious. Their
So that's-
secondary is awful. Whitney Merciless, dude's making $51 million or $52 million for the 4 years that he got extended or whatever it is.
So
I
this
didn't-
is
I
where
didn't hear
this-
his name on TV once.
Exactly. You think about it. I think in a 3 game span, he had 2 tackles.
right.
2 tackles.
It wasn't great.
As a
None for
linebacker.
loss as a linebacker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's making.
And the secondary's torched every game.
He got what, a $60 million contract?
I thought it was 52, but yeah, it's
50
it's upwards of 50. I know that.
Now we have to look at the 3 evils, right? Evil number 1, you keep Deshaun Watson knowing who the owner is, who's in the owner's ear, who the new general manager is, which I'm always going to give the new guy a chance. I'll see what's up with Caserio, but him being highly liked by Cal and highly recommended by Jack Easterby, don't love that, right? Don't love it. So evil number 1, you keep Deshaun Watson and hope that the franchise around him can provide him the tools he needs to flourish, which they have a track record of not fucking doing whatsoever,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Evil number 2, you trade your
franchise quarterback.
franchise quarterback that you spent your entire franchise trying to find, one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL, one of the 2 best value assets in the NFL, so that you can acquire a whole shit ton of picks, because it's got to be a shit ton.
Yeah.
And then you have to assume that the people in the front offices can then evaluate
Negotiate
proper
that.
talent,
Yeah.
use those picks to find talented players and rebuild. Or evil number 3, you bring Deshaun in and you hope that he is the professional and he approaches it the right way, and that at some point down the road, maybe a Jack Easterby fucks up and he gets kicked out, or maybe Caserio proves to be a good GM. Like, it's not a good situation. But what situation do we prefer here?
I would like for the Texans to win. Like Des says, winning cures
cures
all.
Yeah, winning cures everything.
I would love for them to have a great winning season. I mean, this year, God, I was struggling to turn the fucking games on. I didn't even want to watch them.
There were games that I
I did.
didn't watch
And,
just because I couldn't. I
a
don't want
couple
to.
years ago,
Yeah.
they're 14-2.
I think it was like week
I mean,
11 or week 12. I put the Texans on, and they were getting their ass kicked by some team that sucks, but they looked awesome because they're playing the Texans. I think it might have
The
been
Bears.
Yeah,
Bears.
14
sure,
months
fine.
ago, you had Kansas City on the ropes at home in
Yeah.
playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
So I put on.
It's-
I think ideally, I would love for the Texans to keep Deshaun Watson, but I really, truly think there is a deeper issue than we know about, that we probably may never know about
How do you fix
inside.
this team in 2 years?
Dude, the first step is firing Jack Easterby.
Right.
Actually, the first step is firing Cal McNair.
Okay, Cal sells the team. Jack Easterby gone. You come in. Your draft still sucks.
Yeah, that's
But do you think just the improved culture,
The culture.
around it, like, is
culture.
going to put people in better
Could
spirits?
you imagine what former players
Our
of the
producer
Texans...
Josh is back here nodding his head.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
I-
Culture sucks.
I think you have and if you haven't seen it, I saw Casino. It's on Peacock, actually. And it's a great movie. It's a classic. There's a
it is.
scene where Pesci is on tilt, and he's playing blackjack, and he's lost about $70,000 in a span of 2 minutes on the scene.
It's not good.
And he's throwing the cards in the dealer's face. He's like, no, give me another card. Give me another card. And the dealer's looking at the pit boss, and the pit boss is like, yeah, he's part of the mafia. You got to. And De Niro comes. He's like, hey, what are you doing? The cops are going to show up. And he's like, hey, give me a marker for $20,000, and I'm gone. Gives him a marker for $20,000. He loses it like that. Pesci's, doing his Pesci scene.
Motherfucker.
Exactly. And that scene just reminded me of Bill O'Brien. He was just on tilt, and he's like, what do? I have to, okay, we got rid of Hopkins. Okay, I got to construct this offense of just like little receivers, and this is what we're going to go with. And I was like, that was his all-in moment. And by the way, there's no draft capital. And so now you're like, it's almost like you're after the scene, and you're just like looking back, and you're just like, what do we do now?
Right.
Because you have no draft capital. You have essentially two superstars. J.J. Watt is still, that has that household name, has the production, and then you have an offensive superstar. I mean, from my perspective, it's almost like you almost have to get rid of him because we have no draft capital.
Right.
Like, do we just stick around with them and we just kind of moneyball?
We all universally agree J.J. Watt's played his last game as a Texan.
Correct.
Right?
They owe it to JJ to get him out of here.
Yeah. I mean, we do. Right.
I just don't see how you're just like
we don't
in
have
this
the cap space.
Yeah,
like
you're
you
just
said.
in
we don't
this
have the draft cap.
predicament, and you're like, do we keep him around and
He's not the
we're
same
in
player.
every game?
Right.
Like, we're in every game, and we're gonna suck, and we're gonna get a good draft pick, but that draft pick's gonna take a while to get good, and by the time all these draft picks are good, Deshaun's probably out anyways. Like, you're stuck in this spot. It's like a rock and a hard
it's
place.
a shame because like 7 years ago, J.J. Watt didn't have a price. Right. If someone called and they said, "I'll give you 2 first-round picks for J.J. Watt," they'd be laughed off the phone.
Yeah.
He was tracking to be the best defensive player of all time. One of the best defensive players of all time. I don't give a shit if that's a homer pick. Go back and watch those fucking J.J. Watt 22.5 sack seasons. That son of a bitch got screwed out of fucking MVP by Rodgers in 2012. He's the best defensive player to ever play the fucking game. I'm not having it. I love J.J. Watt.
Yeah.
And now his career in Houston, while it's filled with a lot of great individual accolades, is going to not really amount to shit because the talent around him was mismanaged.
Mm-hmm.
They never gave him what they needed on the offensive side, much like with an Andre Johnson.
Yeah.
He didn't get a quarterback until his last 3 years. He didn't get a defense till his last 2 years. A couple injuries fucked him over. And it's like, now JJ's going to walk. And I hope he succeeds somewhere else, but what he did as a Texan isn't going to mean shit in the history books. And like, are we going to face this with Deshaun too? Because Deshaun's one of the 3 best players in the NFL right now.
Yes.
Are we going to watch him go to another team and flourish while we watch Justin Fields?
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Are we really, dude?
I mean,
Yeah, you hate to say it.
I mean,
It's
it's
coming.
It's
Optimistic point of view. Deshaun comes in next year. Casario actually has a little something going on. Put some talent in place. We're playing a slightly easier schedule because we got our ass kicked this year. Is 8-8 out of the question next year?
yes. 100%.
And I don't know,
I'm saying
Nine
six
out of
and
the
I'm going 6.
You
and
have
10.
a new head coach who talked about his dream job being his high school. You have him coming as a receiver coach from the Ravens who
Now, I will say,
scream.
I like the staff he's putting together. He's putting together
I
a
do
good
like
staff.
Smith. I like
Lovie
that.
Smith was good in 05.
I don't
Lovie
hate
Smith is
Pep-
a Super Bowl coach.
Pep Hamilton's a
Coached
good
in the
QB
Super
coach.
Bowl.
But what do? It's like you put a Band-Aid on a balloon, you're bleeding out. Like, you got to do something about
At
it.
least he's coming in and he's putting together people you know, people you're familiar with, people with the history. It's not like, are you watching what's going on in Philly right now?
You know, there's no
Have you seen what's happening in
there's no
Philly?
gulag here. There's no goosh.
Yeah.
We don't get a chance to come back. This is one or done deal.
What do you think is
either
more? And I think you already answered this question when I asked you about
nice
8-8.
pop though. I like
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you. I was trying to be subtle.
No, it's okay.
What is? I'm going to go around the table. Actually, more likely 6-10 and less, or 10-6 and over.
Oh, 6 and 10 and less.
6 and 10 and less.
Six
This is
and
with
10.
Deshaun. This is with Deshaun.
Yes.
Yeah, your
Their
defense.
personnel
Your defense.
sucks.
Your defense
So now
sucks.
They
let's-
suck.
Let's come back to it.
How many-
if
how many
Deshaun
games-
is as great as we think he is he really going to go back to back sub 500 seasons?
Yes.
The defense
Dude,
sucks.
The defense is terrible.
Here's the thing. I'm interested to see, and like I said, I wasn't paying close enough attention. How many games did they lose by one possession or less.
It was, I
This
believe it was
I know
10
two.
games.
I know
I
two
believe it
at
was
least
9
that
or
I
10
watched.
9 or
I mean, you
10
can go back and look at.
by one
I mean, you can go back and look at
I
the
can name
schedule.
3 right off the head.
I can
4
think
right
of
off
like
the head
3.
right now.
Both the Indianapolis games.
Both Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Tennessee in overtime. So that's 4 right there.
So one big play, they could have won those games.
Right.
They don't fumble the ball on the fucking 3-yard line or a bad snap.
Right.
They could have won those games. There
And
was
those
a
are
lot of
divisional games.
Yeah, and there's a lot of games where they barely lose, and it's one bonehead fucking play that costs them the game.
Last year's Texans should have won 7 games.
At least.
I can
at
think
least
of 3
7.
right off the head right now that they should have won. That they completely
How
bombed
many?
at the end.
10.
10. Was it 10?
Okay,
And you had
I'm a
a
super fan, dude.
You had
I'm true
a
fan.
28-21 loss. You had a 42-36 loss. You had a 10-7 loss. You had a 26-20 loss. 27-20, 37-31, 41-38.
so we had a game where we held a team to 10 points. Who was that?
That was in Cleveland.
In
with
Cleveland.
30 mile
That was
an hour
that was
winds.
like a
Oh yeah, that's where they got the start was
Yeah, it was like a
delayed because
tornado.
the storms that came through.
and
win.
2 of
Yeah.
the 4
Yeah.
wins were by
So
a possession.
So let's get real then. Defense, awful. Offense, put up enough numbers to keep you in the game. Lost by 1 possession. A lot of those games could have gone either way. They did not. The Texans lost them. But that being said, that's one big play away from winning a game. One fewer turnover, one better special teams play, etc. So Deshaun leaves. You don't have that anymore.
In my opinion, this is absolute best case scenario that happens. Deshaun is good enough for 10 wins by himself. Last year was an outlier season.
Mm-hmm.
You had Bill fired Bill fired 4 games into the season. You lose to Minnesota, which Deshaun Watson's going to lose to Kirk Cousins 1 out of 100 fucking times, right? It was a disaster season. It was always going to end in disaster. Will Fuller gets popped for juice. Let's not forget that. That might have been a win or 2 thrown in there.
Yeah, and I remember bragging about how much bigger he looked in his offseason fucking pictures too. I was like, dude, he's stacking on some fucking lean man.
Yeah, man.
So,
Yeah, I bet he would.
just to finish that thought, I think best case scenario, Deshaun's worth 10 wins by himself. Coach is putting together a good coaching staff. You pull 10 wins next year, maybe accidentally. Come on, Lima, fucking fantasize here with me, dude. He's
I'm
like,
off
it's
the bandwagon, man.
But Lima's looking at me like a dad when I'm telling him, like, I'm about to go to California and start my rock band. And it's just like,
I'd have more trust in you doing
Yeah,
that
it's gonna
than the Houston Texans keeping Deshaun
What's
Watson.
gonna
Okay, there's
happen
3
after that?
scenarios, and we'll go around. Scenario 1, Deshaun comes back, and it's a coin flip 8-8. It can be 9-7 or 7-9 or 8-8. That's scenario 1. Scenario 2 is you trade him, you get a bunch of draft capital, you get the Haul of the Century, you get almost like a Herschel Walker return. Hey, Cowboys did it,
it has to be
and
more
they
than that.
okay.
It has to
But
be
that type philosophy,
Right,
you
right.
get these parts that down the road they turn into.
more.
You turn into, or scenario 3, you just kind of ride this out. You have, it's a stopgap with the new head coach, with the new GM. You just ride these lean years out, and you're just getting top 5 picks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
getting a lot of top 5 picks
the picks were
isn't
gutted,
cool
dude.
because it means
For the
you're
next 2
losing a
years.
lot of games.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
it's going to be a span of 5 years of just.
You know who got a lot of top 5 picks? The Detroit Lions.
So do the Browns.
Yeah, and the Browns.
They
Yeah.
won the playoffs this year.
Yeah, accidentally made the playoffs this year. And we're proud of them.
And
We're all
accidentally
very
won a
proud
game,
of
too.
our Browns. They
You know,
accidentally won a game. We're all very proud
I
of
don't
them.
mind watching a team that used to be a dog win some games. I mean, good for the city of Cleveland. I mean, sure, they got enough fucking basketball titles, but whatever.
But how long did it take?
Now, hold on a minute. I've been sitting here staring at all this memorabilia over here, and I just realized that Ricky Williams' signature has a cock and balls on it.
That
It totally does.
Look at that.
I'm 100%
Josh, zoom in on that
Hey,
cock and balls.
camera 2?
Hey,
Camera
producer.
2.
Quit
Producer.
cheesing. He can't
Hey.
hear us.
Hey,
He can't hear us. Producer.
He can hear
go ahead and
us.
zoom in on that cock
You
and balls.
zoom in on the Ricky Williams.
Look at that cock and
That
balls
is
on
a-
that signature right there. Is Ricky Williams trolling? He probably is. He was
Can
probably
we-
stoned when he signed
Can
that.
we
right
talk
here.
about a guy that was
Can Josh
ostracized?
hear us?
Ostracized for smoking weed and forced out of the NFL, and he was one of the potentially could have been one of the great running backs.
Yeah.
And just because he was smoking
Smoking
some
weed,
weed,
and
We're gonna
then
fall
they-
off
some
and then they
weed.
came back before this season. They're like, Don't worry about the
don't
immunity.
worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're okay. It's like Josh Gordon.
Yeah, Josh Gordon, I mean, he's on the ultimate shit. He can't even look at a picture of weed without getting suspended.
Pull off the main road here. The Run Ricky Run, 30 for 30.
The documentary
is the best 30 for 30 that was made.
Is it?
Ooh,
Oh,
that's a
it's
take.
fantastic.
I like the 4 days in October.
4 days in October is
4
really
days in
good. The
October.
Fab Five is really
Catching
good.
Hell, fantastic.
Ric Flair.
Yeah, the Ric
That's
Flair
Ric Flair's a
one,
good one.
fantastic.
God, Ric Flair.
Ricky
got
Williams.
a lot of
No,
ass.
the Run
Can you
Ricky
see
Run was
Ric
the
Flair
best
said he banged 10,000 women in his life.
Let me give my take here. Let me do this. The Texans stink. They suck. I don't care if you keep Deshaun Watson. The head coaching hire was terrible. The GM hire was probably who you shouldn't have got, but I'll give Nicky Caserio. I'll give Nicky Caserio the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Lovie Smith sucks. Who was the other one that you guys named? Who's quarterback coach? Tim Kelly. Get him the fuck out of here. He sucks too. Pep Hamilton. He sucks. Cal McNair sucks. Jack Easterby. They call her Harbaugh. Get him the fuck out of here too. Get them the fuck out. The Houston Texans make you want to drink. Okay? They make you want to drink, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the shit. Bring in a dump truck, level NRG Stadium, and get it out of here. Sell the team cow, you bitch.
I mean,
Josh's dog's barking in the other room.
that's
God, that's just the frustration that I've had as a Texans fan.
let it out.
Sorry it took so long. I was trying to get that queued up. That was La Lima. With the heat. With the heat. The La Lima peppers.
Tune in every Thursday for those fans.
You know, I've been trying to be optimistic with this clown show, and I'm
Who
done
did you
with
want
it.
for GM?
My blood pressure just went up. listening to
Honestly, I liked. Now I'm drawing a fucking blank because I blacked out.
You
so-
want Reggie?
Yeah. Louis Riddick.
Yeah.
I would have loved Louis Riddick.
Not Riddick, no experience.
So what?
No
Youthful,
experience.
young,
Right.
younger.
But maybe
He can
Not Jack's boy.
he can resonate with the players.
that's right.
Okay.
Who do we want for coach? Were you a
I want
Bieniemy
Eric
guy?
Bieniemy.
You're a Bieniemy guy.
It was either him or Joe Brady.
The same Eric Bieniemy who has been hired by exactly 0 teams right now.
Well, okay, and you can also say
He
that
has not been hired.
He has not been hired.
He's not been hired.
People don't realize he's carrying a lot of baggage, and you don't.
The
really
question
wanna-
I've always had.
I'm
around-
like, okay, here's a hot take for me. Hire Joe Brady. The dude's 31,
I
32.
did like Joe
Innovative, young, can relate to the locker room. I don't care if he doesn't have that much fucking experience. You're coming into a bad locker room.
I did
They
like Joe
suck.
Brady.
Look at Sean McVay.
Sean McVay, exactly.
Great example.
Who's the other one? What's
Texans.
Cliff Kingsbury?
Sean Payton.
Good coach.
Sean Payton?
Shanahan,
Sean
little
Payton.
Shanahan.
I'm sorry,
Young-
Shanahan, not Sean
Just
Payton.
young coaches.
Just
with
young coaches,
Good
young.
football mind.
Sean
They
Payton.
use
He was a young
analytics.
coach.
Okay, when he came in.
An offensive
yes,
mind. New
offensive
Orleans took a chance on him.
Yeah.
Dallas didn't want to. They had Jason Garrett, and they had Jason Garrett waiting.
Cheating through a
So
microphone
Sean
in the
Payton
helmet.
went to New Orleans.
You know,
Right.
Super Bowl.
I like Joe Brady.
I do
have this take on Eric Bieniemy. Why hire Eric Bieniemy when you can just simply run Andy Reid's plays? Right?
True.
I mean, Eric.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch 2006, 2008, 2009 Philadelphia Eagles, okay, you're seeing Eric Bieniemy's playbook, which just so happened to be called by Andy fucking Reid, right?
Okay.
So I like
T.O. and McNabb.
I like
Donovan
Bieniemy
McNabb.
because he seems like a player's coach and he seems like someone, like you said, can connect.
Yeah.
He's learned under an offensive genius. You can translate Pat Mahomes to Deshaun. I like Bieniemy, but Bieniemy is getting a whole lot of pub for being a dude that's running Andy Reid.
You're not bringing over a Kelsey and Tyreek
Exactly.
Hill.
See, that's the whole thing with this. The personnel around Deshaun
Now
Watson
that doesn't make me
sucks.
love Hollywood Browns coach being hired by the Texans after
You mean
the breakout season.
Des Bryant, who put up
Yes, the
75
breakout
yards?
season
Yeah.
that Hollywood Brown and Des
As
Bryant
soon as-
had this year.
I mean, think about this.
It was a strange hire.
Think about this organization. You had 14 media members with their hands raised in the Zoom of the introductory press conference, and instead of taking those, do you know what it takes to get a Houston Texans credential? They don't give out season credentials. You have to do it every week, every game.
McLean has one.
Well,
so, like, how much does it take?
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a Hall of Famer, sir.
They let a fan answer the last question, then they
I like
cut it
that.
off.
What was the question?
I don't even know. It was like Texans Amy or some
The
shit.
Texans Amy.
It was a line.
Are we excited for our boys this year? Like we sure are.
and-
Texans Amy. We
See,
gotta
and,
go.
and this was brought up on the Lima Lounge last week,
Zoom.
where I'm sorry if I offended you, because
Plug the Lima
because
Lounge.
I
What is
said
it? Thursday at 7?
Thursday this week 7 p.m. sponsored by Eldridge Rooster Floors. When I said you got these crazy Battle Red Bob and you got these Texans Karens and Amy's that show up to NRG Stadium at 7 a.m. decked out in their stupid Texans horns and shoulder pads looking like the Legion of Doom, and you got all the dumb
I used to wear a Luchador mask to the Texans games.
in the Twitch chat was like, dude, I fucking love doing that. Fuck you, Brian.
But I
He
think
does
that's
love wearing.
I
That's
saw
the root of
Texans Debbie in the airport.
That's the root. Is that the root of the problem?
the real problem is that Cal McNair's gonna have those people in the stands.
Exactly.
And we talked about it. As long as there's people buying those seats, he's gonna be all right. My product's good.
I've never been the
Until
guy.
you hurt their pockets.
I've never been the guy. I'll say this before we move on. I've never been the guy that's like burned jerseys. When LeBron left, everybody was burning the jerseys and things like that. I've never been a person like, don't go to games, don't support. Now, cancel your freaking tickets.
Yeah.
Stop buying merchandise. Stop buying beer. Don't buy anything.
$20 beer. I got the perfect thing. And the
Stop
perfect-
it.
Lima, I'm pissed they didn't hire Luke McCown too. All right, I'm with you. I'm with Josh McCown.
He'll be the head
Whichever
coach.
fucking
He will
McCown.
be, as long as Jack Easterby is there, Josh
he's
McCown
probably
will
the
be the head coach
I do
in
wanna-
3 years.
I do want to
3
say
years.
there's been a lot
And
of
I'm done with it. I'm tired of wasting my breath.
There's
on
been
the
a lot of
Texans.
fake news surrounding the Texans. All right, we saw it happen today. What Colin was saying, where the agent came out and quote tweeted and said, "Yeah, I never said that. That was not true. That was never said." But when I did see that we had interviewed Josh McCown, I was like, "Look, if you're going full laughing stock, just do it."
You're not committed. Just
I
go.
was like, "You don't have the gumption to hire Josh.
You don't have a sack to do.
You don't have the sack to hire.
You know what the Texans
You
need?
fucking won't. You cowards." And they did.
Could you imagine though if they did that?
It'd be.
Well, as wild as
But
this
it wasn't
is,
out of the realm of possibilities.
it would have been one of the
Almost
greatest days of my
Holy
life.
shit!
It would have been
Think
one of
about
the greatest days of my life.
No, dude.
I would have been like, your superstar quarterback is completely alienated because you're like out of touch white Jesus freak pastor ran his best wide receiver out of town for getting women pregnant, and you decide the best course of action is to hire Josh McCown.
McCown. The dude still got a year
I would have
left.
loved it.
The dude still got a year left. He's got a year left on his fucking
I'd be like,
contract.
make your coach
And they're like, you know
quarterback.
what, Josh? We don't want you to be the third string quarterback. Run this fucking program.
No, you're the player coach.
You're hired.
You're the player coach. You instill the system, and you go out there and run the plays.
I could totally see River turning heel and just being the biggest Jack Easterby stand. He's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
no,
Oh,
that guy, no balls of Jack Easterby.
I would buy a fucking custom-made Josh McCown Texans jersey, and I would wear that son of a bitch to every 52-0 blowout that I saw.
And
after
the
that.
way the world is right now, where the NFL needs to hire more minority coaches, which at the end of the day, they do, in the front offices and a head coach. The Texans go out and they hire Josh
and they hired
McCown
Josh McCown right.
over David Culley, Jim
Remember,
Caldwell.
Bieniemy wasn't
Eric
even
Bieniemy, Joe
interviewed at
Brady.
that point. He wasn't even interviewed. They were like, "We still haven't requested an interview with
Because of the Super
Bieniemy."
Bowl, the play-
Yeah.
But we did
Playoffs,
just
yeah.
finish up a second interview with, I think it was Jim Caldwell.
Yeah, it was Jim
And
Caldwell.
by the way, we had our final interview with Josh McCown.
They did.
And I was like,
It was on Friday.
that guy was on the radar? You fucking won't! You don't have the gumption!
Dude,
It was
I
like a
can
Friday
picture-
afternoon
yeah.
news dump too.
I can picture Ribbert at work at his computer going,
Oh, dude, no. And like that's when I was like, if you're gonna do it, just do it all the way.
Yeah, just
burn
it
do
all.
it all the way.
Set it
Right.
ablaze.
You know,
But then they made the good conscious decision to hire the Baltimore Ravens
Elite.
wide receiver coach.
Elite.
You know.
And what does he say? As soon as the press conference started, his dream was, like you said earlier, his dream
Be a
was
high
to
school
be a
head.
high school head coach. You shit
Now
me?
he's an NFL head coach.
Good for
Man,
you.
look,
Good for you.
set the bar low. You never disappoint yourself.
We're never. I'm just saying right now, sir. There's still time to follow your dreams. Okay, you know.
Sir,
You know who's-
don't know your name.
They stink.
Sure, you're a great
They
guy.
suck.
You know who the Texans
Great
need?
guy.
They suck.
The Texans need one group.
Uh-oh.
They do. They need one group to stick it to the man to hurt the pockets.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Who do they need, dude?
They need Wall Street Bets. And a little friend of ours said, not maybe a friend, because I'm still mad at you, Astros subreddit. I'm coming for you still. Petty, don't forget.
Oh, r/Astros?
Yeah, coming for them.
They're getting the shade on the live cast.
But they need Wall Street Bets because they stuck it to the man for 72 hours.
It was, 2 days max.
Yeah.
So,
Fun 2 days, though.
It was
Let
an
me tell you guys
elite
something.
internet.
Robert's going on his Wall Street rant now.
yeah,
Yes.
if y'all don't mind.
Before you do that,
Go ahead, producer Josh.
H-Town shutdown.
Ooh.
Wants to shout out Lehman. He said he went to SRSU with you.
I
Ooh,
forgot
Soul
this was
Ross.
live.
Little
Shutdown,
Soul
shutdown.
Ross.
That's the name.
That's
Cody L. Boogie.
That's El Boogie. What's up, El
Oh,
Boog?
Soul Ross.
Homecoming king, baby.
I completely forgot this was live. How many viewers? Because
It's going
Lima's going to bench press Colin.
Yeah, for 10
He's
viewers.
gonna
On
press
top of this table, and then Bobby's going to jump through this table.
That's right.
Or,
That's right.
Robbie B.
I'll be at
Really
IKEA tomorrow.
awesome.
I'll be at
That's why we'll kill
IKEA.
him.
I'll be at IKEA tomorrow to get a new table. It's fine.
I'll be at the hospital.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bob, you said you wanted to touch it. River wanted to touch the fiasco of the internet.
I want to look at the last week as a whole. All right, and I
Are we
touched
talking?
on-
What are we talking here?
we're talking a whole
Talking the
lot
whole
of
week.
stuff,
Just the whole
right?
week.
We're
The
talking
whole
about
week.
macro ideas.
Okay.
Lima. We're talking about the concept of
Trying
fake
to keep
news.
up. Here we
I'm
go.
trying.
The concept of fake news, right? And it's existed forever, but it's gotten obviously more popular since Trump was in office, right? But fake news is a very real thing. All right, we saw fake news with the Deshaun Watson thing.
You're zoomed in on so camera
We're
one.
zoomed in. We saw fake news with the Deshaun Watson thing. It was leaked from sources that he would not report to camp. He would not report to any team activity. He wanted to be traded. His agent comes out, quote tweets that tweet and says, none of this is true. As a matter of fact, a lot of things lately that have been associated with sources aren't true. Ladies and gentlemen, we call that fake news.
We do.
Right?
Some
You-
reporter trying to be first rather than right.
You've kind of seen this with a lot of other Texans things in general, where you hear rumblings about culture and things
They
that people
stink.
like and people don't like, and
They
like
suck.
actually this person isn't nearly as involved in things as you think they are, and that's fake news. That person is 100 involved in those things.
You know who's
right?
not fake news? And sorry to interrupt your
Yes.
perfect soliloquy. Apollo Media, 1 for 1 on breaking news in this past week.
100% on breaking news. this
Breaking
past
news.
week, right?
Now continue back to what you were saying.
So to touch on the Wall Street's bet thing, when I get into something, I get into it hardcore. And
100%.
the older I've gotten, the more I've gotten into money. And not just like making money, but like how money works and how using your money to create money for yourself, wealth management, shit like that, right? So I started looking harder at stocks probably 2 or 3 years ago. And I have been doing little investments here, safe investments, stuff like that, right? You see what happens with the Wall Street's bet thing. And this has brought, I think, fake news to a whole nother light. Because what you're seeing with this is the Wall Street's bet group is presented as a bunch of fucking idiot bros who got their stimulus checks and we're going to go pump up some shitty stock just for shits and giggles. And that's not true. The group actually has a lot of really fucking
Correct.
smart people who do really analytical research. They look at really technical data and they know what the fuck they're talking about.
They're
Well-
advising a lot of neckbeards, but
Right,
there's some
for sure.
knowledgeable people.
The thing
There's
that
plenty
started it-
of people on there who got $600 stimmies and decided that
Try to
whatever my dick is massive 69 420 was going to do, he was going to follow. Those people 100% exist.
Yeah.
But that's not the whole group. There are a lot of really
The guy who
smart.
presented it was thorough technical analysis of this
Right.
short and presented all the data.
100%.
I mean, it was almost like he worked for them. It was like, hey, this is all the correct
Yeah.
information.
And
blah,
what
blah,
they
blah,
were
blah, blah.
doing, it wasn't no rhyme, no reason. We're just going to pump something up. There was rhyme. There was reason behind it. They knew what they were doing. And what you saw on top of that was a second rebound wave of fake news, where anytime you turned on CNBC or MSN or Bloomberg Media or anything like that, now you've got all these financial analysts who are coming out and saying these guys don't know shit. What they're doing is dangerous. They're putting themselves in harm's way. Then you get another rebound of fake news where you've got the Robinhood apps and other Fidelity apps
Yeah.
and trading apps closing down the buys of these stocks are limiting the trade or sales only, and they're saying, well, that's because these retail investors, we're trying to protect them.
We're trying to
Which
protect
changes into, well, now the clearinghouse was asking us to put up more collateral, and we couldn't put up that collateral, so we had to do this. So the whole point of this soliloquy, people, is that we live in an age now where I think we're starting to see the long-term effects of social media. And what you're starting to see is people who want to speak and people who want to be heard and people who want their ideas out there. But also on the adverse end, people who will just throw some bullshit against the wall to see what happens and see what gets heard, right? So I advise you on this. When you see a nice pump it up scheme on Wall Street bets and it's got good technical data and analysis behind it, don't blindly follow it. Just go ahead and do your own research. When Brian Lima tells you the Texans are no better than a 3-win team next year and never buy their jerseys again, he's probably right. But don't just disregard them and not watch them ever again. Deshaun Watson's a really exciting player, all right? When people tell you the Rockets are a bunch of has-beens, never was, that are fun right now and they're gritty and they're winning 6 games in a row, but it won't matter in the end.
The most successful franchise in Houston history, though.
The Dash?
Yes.
The Comets?
The Comets.
No, the comments.
Gotta be
Yeah.
the Comets.
Gotta be.
It's
You're
gotta be
right.
comments, yeah.
Or
The
titles.
point is, do your own
You know what I'm
research,
saying.
people.
You know what I mean.
Don't believe the
Asshole.
fake news.
I think it was the power of the
Take
internet.
everything with a grain
This
of
whole
salt.
week we saw the power of the internet, and it came to a tipping point where you had the power of the people versus established, Wall Street. And the best thing I saw was Ribbert's Twitter this past week was
Thank you.
some of the best
Capital
content I've
investments.
ever seen.
Capital
Capital investments. And we actually bailed out Robinhood. We have to talk about that
We
later.
absolutely did.
But you just saw the power of the internet and you saw the power of the people in the community. And it's really cool to see that translate. And it's kind of what we've been doing the last year at Apollo is it's always never been about me or Ribbert, Brian, Colin, Josh. It's been about the community, right? That's what Apollo is. When you think of that you think of the group and the people that have believed in what we're doing. And we don't have that without the power of the internet. And you said it best. We're seeing the long-term effects of social media, and you see it negatively, and you see it positively. And I'm just really curious to see where we go as humans, but also the capabilities of. It was a wake-up call for a lot of people that thought they had power on everyone. Like
Right.
I guarantee you, there's the billionaires are laughing because they made their money back, but for 72 hours, you had them on the ropes for the first time in a very, very long time.
In a long time. And just to build off what you're saying and kind of finalize my point, it is the long-term effects of social media, which we all feel like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram's been around forever. It's only been around for like 15 years, right? So what you're starting to see is that people they want to have a voice, they want to be heard, they want to create. And whether they want to create independent wealth or create content, create community, create, discussion. People want to create, they want independence, and they want to present ideas and bounce stuff off. And we live in a world where information is at your fingertips. That's a good thing and a bad thing. So the first information you see, take it with a grain of salt and then do your own research, right? What you asked me about Wall Street's bets, they were right. They were on point with a lot of stuff, but you got to do your own research. You can't blindly follow.
Yeah, and I think to end that and segue into
Are we doing
a
Q&A?
quick... Yeah, well, I want to touch on 2 things first, because spring training's right around the corner and the power of the internet. We're seeing all these players on their own platforms, whether it's Twitch, whether it's their own merchandise. You're seeing these young Major League Baseball athletes, because Major League Baseball is the worst at marketing their superstars. It's finally taken San Diego studios, not even part of Major League Baseball, to finally give Tatis the cover of MLB The Show. And hey, we have a young Latin star who plays with flair, plays with swag. Yeah, let's put him on the cover. No brainer, right? Mm-hmm. And Major League Baseball still sits there and they're tweeting about, the 1927 Yankees championship. Mm-hmm. And so it makes zero sense because you have all these young superstars, and we have the Astros, and in this past couple of weeks, George Springer just left. He got his payday in Toronto. We're happy for him. Brantley decides to say, you have all these young athletes, Correa and Lance and all these guys that are, talking to us on Instagram and Twitter, and you don't have that 10 years ago, right? So it's the power of the internet. We're building these relations with these guys, and they're marketing themselves, and that's kind of where we can come in too. But with spring training coming up, Major League Baseball, you have to market these young guys. Like, you're losing a sport. The sport is dying. It's a dinosaur. Please market these young guys. We will if you don't, but
Yeah.
come on.
Let the kids play.
I think,
right, baseball?
Stop blacking out local games on MLB TV, you fucking bunch of cucks.
Amen.
Correction on most successful Houston sports team. Roughnecks, undefeated.
That's
Champions. Undefeated
That's
champions.
true. They never lost a game.
Never lost.
And they
Next-
never will.
Next game, the Roughnecks.
That's
will
my
be the
hot
first.
take.
They never will.
Mark it down.
I like that.
Till
Yeah,
put 'em
2022
on.
when they come back. I hope they come
Tim
back. They
Tebow's
should
going to
come
be
back.
the QB, I heard.
For the Texans?
No,
No,
PJ's
Roughnecks.
coming back.
It's a great closing dialogue. I really like
PJ
it.
ain't.
No,
You think PJ's coming back?
I think
He'll
we're
probably
going
be
to be
with the
talking.
Panthers for a couple years, I bet.
Yeah.
Or he'll find him somewhere to
Josh, we're going to queue up Q&A as we talk about very briefly. Astros got Brantley back. Our window's still open, boys.
Dude,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, with
never
the
closed.
surprise of how well all of those young pitchers pitched, not only the starters, the bullpen was fucking solid
Yeah.
last year. And you're going to get a whole season out of Lance McCullers, hopefully. You got Greinke, and there's still some veterans around the clubhouse.
You got Cy
showing
Young,
these guys
Framber
spots.
Valdez,
That's right.
Ribbert Scott.
Framber
That's right, my
Valdez.
guy.
Strami is
My
back.
guy.
Okay, he's going to continue to work his magic on the pitchers. And you still got plenty of bats. Of course, you're missing out on your leadoff fucking
Is this the
home
year we
run
see
hitter.
Forrest Whitley?
You have to.
It's now or never.
Did we
right?
discuss?
It's now or never, right?
Okay, so we discussed this the first episode of the Lalima Lounge
On Thursday nights.
on Thursday nights on Apollo HOU Twitch, sponsored by Eldridge Roofs to Floors.
There you go.
Eldridge
Wonderful.
Roofs.
Special guest this week is Adam Wexler from Sports Talk 790, the A Team, 3 to 6 p.m. But we talked about this, and for me,
No free ads.
I don't know. Sorry, I don't listen to them. For me, it's just ingrained in my head. It's just like a core. It's like a
Make it a
core.
read. Just make it a read.
Finish the read,
Forrest Whitley, it's now or never.
It really
He's
is.
either up or you trade his ass.
Yeah,
Get-
it's now. or
He's
never.
either up or you
Listen.
trade him.
Listen, everyone was pining over this kid.
He
They
was
were, they were fucking drooling over him 2 years
untradeable.
ago.
Who were the two
Yeah.
guys that were untradeable?
Kyle Tucker,
And Forrest Whitley.
Forrest
Okay,
Kyle Tucker's light finally came online.
Finally.
dude,
Whitley's-
Kyle Tucker looked great.
We
Once
said
they
no to
started-
Kristen Yelich for Kyle Tucker.
We did.
We said no to Kristen
MVP,
Yelich.
Christian
Did we
Yelich.
really?
Hey,
I
we
didn't
did.
have him
honestly-
in
Before he
center
left,
field.
before Miami.
Okay.
to
No,
Milwaukee.
obviously there was other
okay.
pieces involved, but that
Yeah.
was the crux of the trade. Right?
But like Colin said, people were drooling over this kid.
Yeah.
And they
Insane.
threw me off.
Yeah.
It's
My
fine.
best friends.
Okay, that's cool.
You can look at
Yeah.
You gotta watch.
I've got. we
Sorry,
all-
honey.
We're getting some outside advice.
Hot take: Whitley, Game 4 World Series starter.
Oh, that is a hot take.
That is a scorching take.
So do you
Wow.
remember pre-Luno? Before Luno was here,
Bookmark
the
that.
Astros would just leave their fucking prospects in AAA forever.
Yeah.
I mean, how long until Hunter Pence came up? Like, we talked about Hunter Pence for years, 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
Same thing with Springer. Springer was down there when he was like
Manipulated a ton of his
25.
time, yeah.
It's like, dude, he's 25. Get him up here.
I
And then when we got Bregman in, Bregman was up quick. Correa was up quick. You know, obviously Altuve was already established at that point. Tucker, it took a little while, but he got here and he got established. But like Forrest Whitley can't pitch
Dude,
in
it's-
fucking Corpus Christi forever.
It's
No.
it's for me. It's you bring him up and you just let him go like you did this past year with all the young guys. Get him up
Right,
there,
dude.
let him go, and if he doesn't perform,
You got
done.
shit or get off the pot. at
exactly.
this point.
This is
Yeah.
the year because when I was in spring training with the Astros 2 years ago, I have an interview on my phone
Hey,
where I was asking him about.
He's a big J.
Yeah.
I was asking him about because he came into spring training and he was throwing live BP and he was in a stretch that was considered the windup, one of those funky,
It's like a
deceptive
side shadow, yeah.
side shuffle windup.
Yeah.
He was also flirting with different pitches, different arm angles. He came in overweight or underweight. He fluctuates weight wise. Then he's trying to get more of a whip action with the arm. It's like mental midget.
Yeah. We got too
type
much like
thing.
project stuff going
Too many
on.
different projects. And if
You're not
Strong
a
can't
project
fix him
anymore.
or can't get him right, gone.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was Strong when he said, like, yeah, he told him to come in at a certain weight, and he was overweight, and that's when Strom, he doesn't speak a lot, but when he does, it's you have to take that with not a grain of salt, all the volume.
You have to take it all in.
Bible,
Right.
And when he's saying that, you're just like, shit, is this kid ever gonna figure it out? And I still think he will. I mean, I think being the top prospect and being all that, I think we give him a 2-year window. I know you guys are saying this is his last year. I still
I'm
think
not saying this is last year. I'm saying this year we need to see it.
I'm putting the foot down
This
last
is the year.
This is it. I mean,
Lima's throwing everything out this year, dude.
Decent
Texans
year.
merge.
He's fine.
Forrest
Exactly.
Whitley.
I'm with
He's
I'm
a big draw a line in the sand.
I am.
That's
I'm
right.
tired of
God,
it.
dude.
Tired of it.
I'm
And
with you on that, though. We got to see him this year.
You have to.
And I'm not saying if he
Coming off-
comes in and he sucks, okay, I'll give him another year
I
to
will.
figure it out.
Okay, that's what
But
I'm
we
saying.
have to
So
see
let me
him
clarify.
this year.
He has to be in Houston.
He has
pitching.
to be at the major league level this year, and he's got to pitch in a good amount of innings, appearances. If he stinks, that's fine. At least he's got major league time.
Right.
But if he can't get out of AA, can't get to AAA, and can't get up to the big squad, ship him.
Yeah.
Gone. Sorry, dude.
Yeah,
Out of here.
and here's the thing too, and they were doing this with Jordan. And I don't know a lot about this. You guys probably know more about it. We should get Ben in here. Ben knows everything about MLB contracts. They were holding on pulling Jordan up because of
That's service time. Service time.
Triggering
Okay,
service
yeah.
time.
okay, and
Yeah.
so they finally bring him up, and everyone's like, "It's about time." Well, they don't get me wrong; they would have brought him up fucking sooner
Correct.
if it wasn't a dollars and cents thing,
Right.
Right? I mean, obviously, the guy fucking shows up and immediately starts
Yeah, but that Whitley ship is
hitting more home runs and runs unanimous rookie of the year.
So with the service time, that gives you an extra year of team control
Okay.
for Jordan in the future. So you're exactly right. That's why they didn't
So
bring him
that's
up.
why they do it. Now, are they going to pull that same shit with Whitley?
Well, we can all agree that Whitley ship has sailed by now.
I would think so. Yeah.
Like
But
if it was going to be a service time thing, he would have been up already. This is clearly like if it was going to be a service time thing, you wouldn't see Andre Scrub coming up ahead of him, right? Like when
Yes
when
and
we
no.
need to go into pitching. And I'm seeing Anoli Paredes, who I'm not knocking any of these guys. Loved what Anoli did. I loved what Scrub did.
They were
But
both-
these guys aren't Forrest Whitley.
Yeah.
So it's no longer a service
So
time
then
thing.
that's where you have to think like you get these Paredes, you've got Scrub. What's the lefty's name out of the
Rayleigh
bullpen?
Taylor.
Both those guys.
Yeah.
You're bringing up these guys. You're bringing up guys that haven't seen service time above high A,
Right.
Yeah.
and you're bringing them up to
Exactly.
throw in major league games.
That tells me it's
Why
not a service time thing anymore.
Why is Forrest Whitley not coming up? But if it's
Right.
not injuries, then what the hell
So
is
last
this?
year it was injuries.
Correct, I knew that.
And there
And
would have
he
been
had
the
a
perfect
PED
time. It would have been the
Yeah,
perfect
that's
time.
right. Then he had the it was Adderall.
Adderall.
It was Adderall.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was driving in between
Yeah.
high A and double A or whatever, and he
Yeah.
popped some Adderall to stay awake. But either
Yeah.
way, like it's another blip on the record of
Okay.
it. It's like figure it out, bro.
Let's look at it not as fans and not as the number one sports media company in Houston.
I
But
can't do that.
as front office people.
Tough for me to do that.
If you have a Forrest Whitley who's at big league camp and he has a good spring training, but you have all these guys that not established, they had really good years last year and they're rolling, right? Do you in that situation bring up Whitley to break camp in the big league squad and start his service clock, or do you send him back down to Sugarland to Corpus, let it get those 2 months in and just let him ride out and then you start the clock? Because there could be a situation where, hey, do we have to bring up Forrest Whitley right now?
You don't have to start the season
As a
no.
front office.
As a front office to start the season with the service time, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But you have to see major progress.
He has to have a good camp. He has to
Has
have a good spring training.
So then when you come to the service time issue that Colin brought up and now you're bringing it up, do you start the clock at the beginning? No, I think you keep him in Sugarland. He's right down the road, right?
Yeah.
But you have to see the progression. You can't see
100%.
pitch well, boom, something happens. Okay, let's bring him back down. He's on the 10-day IL. Progression, boom, he's back down. Oh, he's got a weight issue. Oh, he can't throw strikes. He's walking 12 guys.
Yeah.
Right.
I
You
think
have to see the progression, and then you bring him up after the All-Star break.
So you look at in two different cases, I think. You look at Jordan, who he hit his way into the big leagues, right? Like,
Yeah.
he just there was no way we can keep him down anymore. So you call him up in May, like you were saying with the service time. Okay, we can get it here, and you get him in there. Then you look at a Kyle Tucker, and he was different than Jordan. Jordan his way in. Kyle marinated his way in. It's
Yeah.
like,
That's
okay,
very
we know what we have in AA with Kyle. We know what we have in AAA. It's time to figure out what we have in the majors.
What did he do in spring training? What were they calling him? Ted. Because he was raking.
Right.
He was raking. I want to see that out of Forrest Whitley. I want to see him dominate.
That's what I'm saying.
And can't.
You got to the point with Kyle where you knew, okay, this is what he is in AAA. This is what he is in AA. We've seen enough of him here. What is he as a major leaguer, right? And we still haven't reached that with Forrest because it's like we don't know what he is as fucking AAA.
You can't even get him. Yeah, exactly. You can't get him past AA Corpus.
Right. So, and
I
I'm with
understand.
you on this. That
Yeah.
This is the year. If he's not an Astro, not a Hook, not an Express, or
What's
what
the
Are they going to say
We're
Skeeter?
skiers, not a skier. He's got to be an Astro. He needs to be on the major league squad. And if he gets there, give him 2 years. Let's figure it out. But if he's not there by the end of the year, it's time to move on.
What do you think, Colin? We've all said ours. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. You got to see him be consistent. That's
a good word,
what he has
consistency.
lacked
Yeah.
this whole time. I would love to see him get a shot. I mean, dude, when he's on, he's fucking on. And we've got a lot of hot and cold pitchers on our staff.
Yeah.
You know, I think part of the success all these young guys had last season was because none of these hitters had faced them before. Right? They don't have any analytics on these dudes.
Yeah.
And so,
And they all throw stuff.
I think,
and they all have nasty stuff.
They all
And
throw
so,
stuff.
you know, you see, of course, this is true with every pitcher. The second time through the order, guys started maybe figuring him out. Oh, he had me at this count last time. He's going to go for this pitch, right?
ask
So-
Kevin Cash about that.
I was just going to say, unless you're Blake Snell and you're dominating a third time in line, you yank by Kevin Cash.
Yeah,
That's where Maldi comes in.
Exactly.
Game.
oh
That's a
yeah,
good point.
dude. So you got another veteran catcher coming on, Jason Castro. I'm sure he could call games. Maldonado, we know.
I like the Castro sign.
I like it.
I mean,
Veteran
I like
presence.
Yeah,
It is what it is. He's going to
you
hit
know,
215, 220, maybe a couple bombs from
It's
the
easy to
side.
hate on it.
He's
but
going to
I
take
like
some
the Castro
pressure off
sign.
of Maldi's knees.
Yeah.
I like it.
Good signing.
Dude,
Cheap.
He's the ones out asking Jason Castro out in 850.
Exactly.
That's right. You bring in, you let him play. You know, when the other teams have they're at the back end of their lineup, right? So not lineup, you know what I mean? Rotation.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Bring it back. Reset.
So what am I say about Forrest Whitley? I would love for him to come up. I mean, dude, give him a couple games out here. See how he does. I mean, goddamn, they brought Cianel Perez up.
Yeah.
Okay, who the hell was that kid? He came in, he threw flames for I don't know 3 or 4 games, and then he was back down. He was up and down between
Yeah,
the
he was
minor
kinda
leagues.
worse,
At least he was getting some fucking game checks, and he was filling some spots.
And see,
You know, if
this is
somebody
what-
gets hurt.
That's not a bad guy, Forrest Willie, to have. It can be your swing guy.
You know what I
I'm
mean?
saying. You could have him fight for a spot in the starting rotation.
He's got to want to.
Dude, you're preaching to the choir
He's
here.
got to want to.
You're preaching to the
that
choir,
guy.
man.
To come back to what y'all were saying earlier, I agree on the service time, but at the same time, kind of like Colin was saying, we had Cianel Perez come up. Like, we had Anoli Paredes come up. We had Andre, like, where in line was Forrest? Like, how many people did we have to go down the line until it was Forrest time to come up?
I think as a competitor, you're going to see Forrest being have that oh shit moment. Like, I'm kind of getting passed up. Like, I still have that top prospect, label. Kind of getting.
He's our
kinda
only
getting
top
passed up.
100 prospect, correct?
So,
I think he's like number 54.
Pena
Yeah.
was in there.
Pena was in there too.
Who's that?
Pena.
Payne. Okay. Payne.
but you have. So you're gonna have to be a competitor, right? You're gonna have to show
Payne,
up.
he's
and
going to be
play.
taking Altuve's spot. Let's get that out there.
Right. But I
Jesus
think.
Christ.
I think.
Altuve's going to be starting center fielder.
No. What Colin said the
Please
best was all these young guys showing up, and we're seeing it with the Rockets and bringing it all the way back. You have these young guys that are not blinking in the moment, right? Look at the CS, the DS, the 3-game whatever. Everyone's in the playoffs first round. None of these guys blink. They played.
Look at Framber Valdez in the World Series.
A dude.
Yeah, a man.
A dog.
Okay?
So
Like,
you have all these guys not
a
blinking.
dog. A dog.
We're seeing
big
the
dog.
Rockets, they're not blinking, these young guys.
No.
So, Forrest Whitley, hey, I'm in your camp.
So let's do a way too far out, way too early projection. Astros, we think are all going to be strong in the AL.
They're going to move west.
Who's our two teams we're looking at biggest competition
In the AL or in the
Yeah,
division?
AL.
In the AL.
The division still.
Well, you got to worry about the Blue Jays now. They have a damn.
Do we have to
don't have
worry
any
about the Blue
pitching.
Jays now?
They don't have any pitching.
Do we have to worry about the Blue Jays now?
But they're going to hit 10 home runs.
We have to worry about the White Sox.
White
The White Sox.
Okay, White Sox.
As my man Des would say, I believe this year the White Sox are a wagon.
Oh,
I
wagon.
believe they are.
I will.
Twins are no longer a wagon.
I will. I don't know.
I think the Twins are dead. I think they're
I'm
dead.
doing mad money.
probably
I'm
out.
doing a little
Marvin's
mad
out.
money section.
Uh-oh.
Hey, I'm selling the Blue Jay stock. I am not buying this. This is a pump and dump scheme. Pitching wins
Like your
baseball in
Springer, you
October,
already won.
and you don't have it. You don't have it.
So who do we got in the AL? Top two teams in the AL. Not top two non-Astros teams.
That I'm worried about.
Yeah.
I'm never worried about anyone. But the teams that are on my radar is the White Sox
Yeah.
and is there fans in the stadium? It's a
doesn't
raucous
matter.
it's a raucous stadium in the Bronx.
Yeah.
I still got to
Okay.
say
There we go.
Garrett Cole's there. He's pitching wins in
I like how you
October.
didn't drop a name. That was
Um,
solid.
yeah,
That team's
Garrett
awful though. Anyways, Lima, who you got? Who are we looking at in the AL? Are the Rays dead?
yes.
The Rays are down, right?
Razor.
Yeah, Razor.
Kevin Cash
Snell's out.
Yeah.
Who else was out?
Charlie Moore's gone. He's
Charlie
out.
Moore.
Now
He's with
they
the Braves.
did just bring in Chris Archer. Big move for them.
Yeah, he's
You
39.
can't count out the team in the AL East
Yeah.
with the in the Bronx.
Yeah.
They've got Garrett Cole. They've got a dangerous lineup. Tanaka's gone.
He is.
That's hate to say it. There's a
They have-
veteran.
Their rotation's a low floor, high ceiling with the Kluber signing. With
Is Kluber going to be Kluber?
that's what I'm saying. Like that's
Is he
the
gonna be
low
healthy?
floor,
Is it
high
going to be a
ceiling.
warning
It's-
to the
I
East?
mean,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Kluber
Exactly.
has been Kluber in 2 years.
I mean, yeah, they're
2
making.
years.
They got LeMahieu. I gotta respect that lineup. Who's your second team?
Obviously, for me, it's the team, the AL East team. Okay, I'm not going to name them.
Thank you.
Pinstripes. You've got the White Sox, and then the AL is kind of weak. Let's be real.
It kind of is. It kind
Well,
of
think
is.
about it. It's not going to be the Rangers. It's not the Mariners. It's not the A's.
No.
The Astros are going to be up there. Who else is there? You got the White Sox.
Some sneaky,
You got
some sneaky Boston bounce back.
no shot.
No,
No
sneaky
shot.
They got
Boston
quarterback.
bounce back.
They got the trash man
They
back.
got quarterback.
They
You
got
might
the-
see those
they got the
offensive
cheater
numbers. Those offensive numbers for Boston.
Marlin, they were talking about
Marlin
Marlin
there.
there.
We're on the same wavelength.
normalized towards the mean. I'm with Lima. I think the AL is pretty weak. I think White
It's not
Sox
the
are wagon.
Orioles.
I mean, Twins lost a lot.
Yeah.
The Cleveland baseball team lost a lot.
Blew it all
The
up.
Rays lost a lot. The Orioles are trash.
They're a
It's
team
tough.
in the future.
It's
Not the
tough.
Tigers, not the Royals, not the... Here, I'll give you the top 4 teams in the
I want you
AL
to give me
right
a
now.
hot take and say the Tigers win the Central. You will not.
The AL Central comprised of the White Sox, the Cleveland baseball team, the Royals, the Twins, and the Tigers.
Yeah.
AJ Hinch is going to get them boys ready.
Oh, he's calling it, man.
Yeah, they're
Put your
winning.
name on it. Put your name
You're
on
saying
it.
the White Sox, but Tony La Russa with all those Latin players and all these
That's
people
true.
with popping their chains and hitting tanks
That's
and
true.
swag. La
He's gonna
Russa's
hate
gonna have
that.
a heart attack.
Yeah.
So I can see that.
Is there,
getting close.
could you consider Tony La Russa a boomer?
No, he's older than
Yeah,
that.
he's
He's
past the
really-
boomer.
Yeah,
He's past
like
the
hello World War One.
He's like
Wow.
a drunk grandpa, dude.
Yeah.
He's going to
LaRussa's
arrive
a-
to the games drunk for sure.
Yeah.
La Russa's
Oh,
just-
yeah. He's not going to like the culture up
Yeah.
there.
No.
He's not gonna like
Anderson is gonna stuff him in a locker.
So,
By week
okay.
2.
He's just a face, right? Like, La Russa's not actually doing anything there, right? He's just a face.
I mean, so
Calming presence.
you look at